All right, good morning, everybody. Today is Daf Kuf Yud Zayin, Masech Shabbos. So we left off yesterday. We were discussing a case. The Gemara wanted to make a comparison. We were discussing saving a Sefer Torah, and it says in there that you're allowed to save a Sefer Torah even in the teak, in a bag, and or some sort of case, and even if there's money in there, right, which is muksa. And then the Gemara brought another machlekes, which wanted to say that Rabbi Shmuel, that was the same almost that we learned from our Mishnah, which is the case I just mentioned, a case of skinning an animal if it was the Korban Pesach was brought on a Shabbos, right? If it turns out that the Yud Nisan was on a Shabbos, so they wouldn't. There's a machlekes whether you skin the animal all the way. Are you allowed to go ahead and finish it, even though it's not necessary to go ahead to take out the fats, whatever needed, and to burn? Were you allowed to go ahead and skin it the entire way, or just up until the parts of the animal that you needed? And so there was a Masorah that basically wanted to learn from a Mishnah. Just like in a Mishnah, you're allowed to go ahead and save the Sefer even with the teak, right? So too, you're allowed to go ahead and skin the animal all the way. So the Gemara questioned the comparison. How can you compare? One is an isser of is a question of muksa, while the skinning the animal is a question of malacha. So we got up to the two lines from the top of Kuf Yud Zayin Amud Aleph. Elo hachi kamri. Maybe this was the comparison. This was the limud. If you go ahead, you're allowed to go ahead and save a Sefer Torah, in a case, even if there's money in it. Lo netatel or agav basar. Lo netatel or agav basar. So should you not be able to go ahead and basically touch the hide, right? Because of the basar. Now the basar is muksa, right? The basar is muksa because the meat, right, is not to be used until Motzei Shabbos, until the time of Pesach, right? Eaten then. So right now it's muksa, right? So shouldn't you be able to handle the hide because of that? So the Gemara says, "Midami." Once again, how could you compare the two? Over there, the teak, right, is a bus. It's a base for something which is aser and mutter. Mutter being the Sefer Torah, and aser being the money that's in it. So since it's a support for both, so therefore maybe that's the reason why you're allowed to go ahead and save it or carry it. However, over here, over here, right, the hide is just containing the skin, right? It's just containing the basar, and the basar is considered to be muksa. So Allah hakikamar they rather be to say or aga basar. So maybe it's like this. Maybe we're saying that you're allowed to go ahead and save a Sefer Torah with, let's say I need to go ahead and put the Sefer Torah in something. So I can grab a bag, right? I'm going to grab a bag from the other room and then run it to put the Sefer Torah in it or some sort of container. And there's money already in that bag. So there's just money in the bag, and I'm carrying the bag with the money to the Sefer Torah to take it out of the burning area to go ahead and save it. So since I'm allowed to do that, certainly, right, I should be able to basically move the hide with the basar in it, because the basar is also one muksa item in it. So the Gemara says, who says you're allowed to do that? Who says you're allowed to go ahead and grab a bag, right, with money in it? Right? And if you're going to say, okay, but the fact is that if I go ahead and I save a Sefer Torah in a bag, right, and that bag has money in it, I'm allowed to go ahead and take out the bag with the money and the Sefer Torah. So too, I should be able to go ahead and bring a bag with money in it to the Sefer Torah to go ahead and take it out to save it. So Gemara says, but if you want to learn from there, how can you even learn that case? Over there, if you go ahead and take out the money first, right, before you go ahead and save the Sefer Torah, perhaps it could burn. However, but in the case of bringing a bag with money to the Sefer Torah to the area where the Sefer Torah might be burnt, you should just, as you're running with the bag to the to the Sefer Torah, you could basically knock out the money then. So in other words, if the Sefer Torah and the money together, of course you take it all together. But maybe if the bag was in another room and there was money in it, maybe as I'm going with the bag, you can knock out the money as you're going. So Ella Maravashi, what does he say? Really, it's like the comparison we did in the beginning, which was the Havamina, which was what we said at the end of yesterday's shir, that Just like in the case of the money, you're allowed to do it, so too in the case of you're allowed to go ahead and flay the animal all the way and remove all the skin. And then when we asked, okay, so what's the comparison? In the case of Shabbos, saving the Sefer Torah with the money in the teak, so that's only a question of muksa, right? In terms of saving the Sefer Torah. And in the case of the Korban Pesach, right, when you go ahead and you skin the animal completely, that's a shaila of malacha. So why can't you do malacha? What can you learn out malacha from the case of muksa, right? So it could go and delay kavi leila or. In other words, over there, we're talking about a case of where it was not completely. He doesn't want the hide, right? He doesn't need the ore. And if that's the case, he doesn't want it. Therefore, what's malacha? Malacha is something which I want. Now, since it's a case of malacha which I don't necessarily want, I don't want the hide. I don't care about that. I'm just skinning it to remove it completely. But I don't want it. Normally, you skin it. The malacha is because I want it. Over here, right? It's considered to be something that I do not want, right? And therefore, since I don't want, it's like a davar shemis kavin. A davar shemis kavin is not a isur deraisa. And therefore, it's only midrabanan. Therefore, it should be okay. If when you go ahead, you don't want it, but when you skin it, lamaisa, you're going to end up with a full hide, and therefore, it is considered like you did it, right? Like you did it with intentions. So the shakalei bebarzi. So now we're talking about a case that when he took it basically in pieces. So he took it in pieces, and therefore, since that's not done in the appropriate way, right? It's done in pieces, so therefore that's basically considered to be, that's not the normal derech, and therefore that's only a shivus because that's basically done with the shinui. And since it's done with the shinui, it's not the raisa of malacha, and therefore since it's only the rabbanan, therefore the rabbanan of muksa is comparable to skinning it in a derabanan dik way. Fine. 2 dots. And where do you go ahead and save it to? Say, hey, chidami. So he said over here, there's a case of either is machlokes between, in our Mishnah, according to Rabbanan, it's a mavui she'ein mafulish. It's a mavui that's not open. And according to Ben Beseira, it's even after mafulish. Even a mavui that is open, you're allowed to go ahead and take the Sefer Torah out into there. So now the question, hey, chidam mafulish, hey, chidam she'ein mafulish. What does it mean mafulish and not mafulish? So Amar Rav Chizda. So it could be the pashup shot of mafulish just means there's 2 sides. The other way is completely wide open, because then in such a case it would seem that it's too close to a rishus harabim. It sounds like you can take out the rishus harabim. So Chizak is the first pshach. You have 3 sides, right? And the shnei lachim, and then there's the open side. There's 2 lechis, right? There's 2. There's 2 boards there on the sides, 2 lechis on each side, and zeh mavi sheinu foolish. That's called one that's not foolish. That's called one that's not open. And gil mechitzas v'lechi echad. And if it's 3 sides, 3 walls on a side, and then 1 lechi, zeh mavi hamafoolish. That's called an open mavi because it doesn't have 2 lechis. The tarvayo only b'der Rabbi Eliezer, and both these according to the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer, who is very machmir in terms of the spaces. It's now we learn in the Mishnah. Hechshamavi. What is the hechshamavi? What is the mavi that we're talking about? That you can go ahead and do a shita, do an eruv. In other words, combine the areas. There's Beis Shammai Yomim Lechi v'Kaira. Beis Shammai says you need you have 3 sides and either you need a lechi and a korah, right? Right. A korah is a beam. A lechi is one that stands up. Beis Hillel says no. As long as you have 3 sides, the 4th side you just need to either do a beam across or you do a lechi standing up. And Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Eliezer says no, 2 lechis, 1 on each side. So basically that's the pshat. And according to one opinion, so you need to have both lechis, as Rabbi Eliezer insists, to take out the Sefer Torah. And Ben Beseira, and then the other opinion in Ben Beseira says that no, even if it's mefulish, even if it's open, no, there's only 1 lechi there, then you're allowed to go ahead and take out the Sefer Torah there. So Gemara says, I understand, Amalei Rabbi, gimel mechitzas v'lechi echad mefulish karisle. 1 second, you're going to tell me that mefulish means like open, right? So you're going to tell me an open mavui is something which is walled on 3 sides, and the 4th side has a lechi. Now that's wall, that's mefulish, right? Also, according to Rabbanan, who hold you're allowed to take a Sefer Torah only if there's 3 walls and 2 lechis. So not just a Sefer Torah you can take out, you can take out anything, you can take out food and drink. So Elo Amar Rabba says Rabba, different shot. Shtei mechitzais, really there's only 2 walls, not 3. There's two walls, v'shtei lechi, and there's one lechi on each side. Zel movi shein mafulish. That's called one that's not mafulish because there's a lechi and the two open sides, and shtei mechitzos, and then two full walls, the lechi echad. And if there's only one lechi on one of the sides, and there's two mechitzos, zel movi mafulish. That's called an open mavui. So the Tabayo, Libet Rabbi Yehuda, both of them go according to the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. The tiny one in Bryce, yes, okay, I'm a Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says, "Now, Mishi Yesh Shnei Batim, Shnei Tzedi Rabbim." Person who has two houses and they face one another on each side of the street, and basically there's a street that goes in between the two houses, right? And then his houses face one another. Oise lechi. Mikada lechi, mikada, you could put a lechi on each side, one lechi on one side and one lechi on the other side, and basically walk in between the lechis, and the two houses are also right. The other, basically the walls. So, and then you can do that. Oikara mikan, or a beam on each side. The nice and b'yamsa, they can go ahead and walk right and carry from in the middle because he has the two walls, basically his two houses, and then the two open sides. He has either a beams on each side or a lechi on each side, and that's the case. And according to according to Rabbanu, you can carry the Sefer Torah out into that. And according to Ben Beseira, even if you only have one beam or one lechi right on one side and not the other side, then it's mutter, is a special heter in the case to save a Sefer Torah. Some are low. But they said, what do you mean? You're not allowed to do the Ma'ariv Rishus Rabbim in such a case. That's considered to be too open. That's considered to be too similar to a Rishus Rabbim. So how are you allowed to do that? So Abaye says, I Ladidcha, according to you, Nami. Right? L'Rabbanan Nitzel V'Seicha. Even according to you, right? According to the Rabbanan, who holds that you're allowed to go ahead and, who has to be basically a beam on both sides or a lechi on both sides. So if it's completely mutter to carry, you don't need this. And you're saying you can take a Sefer Torah out into there. It's not just a Sefer Torah. You can be able to take food and drink out there. And that's not a Sefer Torah. Should be able to save food and drink. So Ella, turn the page. Ella Meravashi Shalosh Mechitzas V'Lechi Echad Zemavi Shenofulish. Rather, 3 walls and 1 lechi, that is called a mavi shein mafulish. That's called one that's enclosed. That's not an open mavi, it's a closed mavi. And gimel mechitza is below lechi, and if it's just 3 walls and no lechi, zeu mavi hamafulish, and this is called an open mavi. V'afilu Rabbi Eliezer Damar be'ina l'chayim, and even according to Rabbi Eliezer, who holds that you need 2 lechis, hani mili leichlin mashkin. That's only talking about things that there's no special heter, like bringing food and drink, right? Avala sefer Torah. But for a Sefer Torah, that b'chad lechi sagi, then you only need 1. So in other words, according to the last shot, normally to carry you need 3 walls, and then you have 3 walls here, let's say, right? So you see the top, look, 3 walls here, and then by the 2 open ends or the 1 open side, you have 2 lechis standing up here. Now, that's to carry food and drink. If you're talking about bringing a Sefer Torah there, so then even if you only have 1. That is according to the opinion who holds that it has to be closed. That's according to Rabbanan and according to Ben Beseira. Even if you have no lechis, just the 3 walls, then it would be permitted to go ahead and save the Sefer Torah. Fine. Now Mishnah. Mishnah says, top of Kufiyat Zayin Amabez, Matzilin, Mazain, Gimel, Sudas. One is allowed to go ahead. There's a fire. God forbid, you have to go ahead and carry into an area which you're allowed to carry into. So you can go ahead and exert effort into saving food. So you should take the amount of food for 3 meals, right? Shabbos, one is commanded, or one should have 3 meals. So as actually we'll bring in Pesukim later on. So Mazon Gimel Sudais, Harui L'Adam, L'Adam, Harui L'Behema, Behema. That's which is needed for a person. You can bring for the person. That which is needed for the animal, you can bring for the animal, basically for the food for Shabbos. Ketzad. How so? Naflo Delay Kabbalah Shabbos. Let's say the meal falls, the fire falls out Friday night before you eat. So Matzila, Mazon, Gimel Sudos, then you can save for 3 meals, 1 for Friday night and 2 for the next day. The Shachris, and let's say the fire occurred Saturday morning, so you already ate last night. So all you need is Matzila, Mazon, Beis Sudos. You can go ahead and save 2 meals, 1 for lunch, or 1 for the first meal, 1 for Shal Shudas, and B'mincha, and later on in the afternoon, Mazon Sudachas. All you need food is for 1 meal, and therefore you can only save basically 1 meal's amount of food to carry out into this mavui. And Rabbi Yossi Aimer l'yelo matzil mazon shalosh sudos. Really, you can always go ahead and save 3 sudos, even if it's you already ate 1 or 2 or even 3 of the meals. You can always go ahead and carry out basically as much food as needed, which is the amount of gimel sudos. We'll have to understand the shita. But let's see the Gemara. So now, Michli. The Hetera Kotarach, not Zil Tvei. I understand. Your food is not muksa, right? So why can't a person, the fire is occurring, why can't he take out, if once he's carrying out there, let him take as much food as he wants? So since a person, right, cares about his money, he wants to save his money, so therefore we're going to, if we say, hey, you can take as much as you want, so while he's trying to take it and save more and more and more, he might come and extinguish the fire. So since he might come part of the fire, we don't want to do that, so therefore we'll limit it, the amount. So it's not like the more he tries and the more he saves, right, or the more he brings out back and forth, the more he'll be able to save his money, because after the case, he might put out the fire. But if we just say, hey, 1, 2, or 3 meals, so therefore he's perhaps he'll go ahead and he won't touch the fire. So Amar Le'abai, Eloha the time now we learn in the Bryce that says, if a person has a barrel on the top of his roof, maybe kli umaniach tachta. You're only allowed to go ahead and bring a kli and put it on the ground underneath it and let it catch from the barrel. As long as you don't go ahead and put something, either gather it, catch it in the air, or basically put one next to the roof as it's coming out, in order that a person will not come to do malacha, right? It will not come to go ahead and, he'll basically not do that. So the question is, hasamai gzera ika. So over there, what is the gzera? In other words, why didn't they go ahead and why didn't they allow him to go ahead and catch the wine in the air or put another kli next to the their kli? Now, it's in our case, we're worried the person is going to go ahead and put out fire. But in this case over here, by the barrel, why do we limit his saving, right? In our case, we limited the saving of food because by Shabbos, a person might come, he might extinguish the fire. But there is no fire over there. So there's a leaking barrel, it's breaking, right? So what always says, you can only put it on the bottom. You can't go ahead and catch it in the air or put it right on the roof next to it by the gutter and have it like drip directly into it. You can't do that. Why? What are we worried about? There's no fire there. So when it says, how can I make zera shemayavi kli derech a person, if we allow him to go ahead and start bringing different kalim to save all the contents, he might go ahead and bring kalim from outside, the rishus, which will be carrying in Rosh Hashanah, and therefore, and then all has to go down with the person cares a lot about his own money. So now let's see this case here. Gufo. So he said, a person goes ahead and he has his barrel, right, that breaks the top of his roof. Maybe you can go ahead and bring a clay, just put it on the ground and let it catch whatever it catches. As long as he doesn't bring another clay and catch in the air, or go ahead, take another clay and put it in the air. But let's say he has guests. So maybe kli acher the kalit, the kli acher mitzarif, right? So he says, but however, if he has guests, right, then he can go ahead and bring another kli to go ahead and catch it because he needs it for the guests, or right, or to put it by the roof. But lo yiklod v'achar yizamin. However, don't go gather, all the wine in the air in the way they're not supposed to, and then invite people over. Ela Yasmin v'acharkach yiklot. Right? Go ahead and invite people first, and then once you're having guests, then you go ahead and gather. We can't gather first and say, "Oh, I gather now. I got to go make sure, do a little trick and make sure that I have guests." Ve'ein marmin b'kach, and you're not allowed to do harama. In other words, you can't do harama. Harama is basically trickery, right? That you can't do, let's say you tell someone, okay, you're just going to be my guest, and now once you're my guest, now I'm allowed to go ahead and save all the wine. You can't do that, right? If you invited somebody, you had a legitimate guest, then you can go ahead and you can collect more. But if you didn't have guests, then you can't just start going, even if someone doesn't eat or doesn't drink wine, I know you're sober, right? You've been sober for 12 years. Or you've been sober since last Shabbos, right? So you invite somebody, say, hey, come on, and you'll be my guest, and I'll gather wine. You can't do haram, you can't do trickery. However, you're allowed to do harama, you're allowed to do trickery, you're allowed to basically do this trick, because Lamaisa, if you have guests, you're allowed to go ahead and save more wine. So therefore, you're my guest, and I can save more wine. So I can invite for that reason. So let's say this is machlekes of Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Shua. And what's the machlokes? The Tanya we learn in the Brisa. Now you have a case of you have a mother and a child, right? And basically, when it comes to animals, you're not going to go ahead and shecht a mother and its baby or its child on the same day, right? You can't do that. You can't do oisov as beno on the same day. Now, let's say a mother and child both fell into a pit. Now, normally, if something falls into a pit, right? Shaila is you're allowed to go ahead and save it. Now, now you're not allowed to go ahead if it falls in a pit, right? And since now animals, let's say on Yontif, right? So animals that normal animals are muksa unless you're going to use it, right? I use it for shechita, but I can't use both these animals for shechita because by definition it's the mother and child. I can't shecht both of them. So how do I go ahead and save both of them if they're in the pit? So what should you do over there? So Rabbi Eliezer Aimer Malas Rishain Al Manas Shech. So go ahead and bring up the first one. Okay, I can bring up the first one because I'm going to go ahead and shech this one. Now the second one, I have to leave in the pit, and I just go ahead and bring food and put it in the pit, but I can't go ahead and take it out. I can't go ahead and take it out because that animal, I took out the first one to go ahead and shecht, and therefore that is my shechting animal, and therefore that animal is not muksa, but by definition, I can't shecht both animals because I'm not allowed to go ahead and shecht them on the same day, and therefore you can only go ahead and feed the one at the bottom. Yeshua Imer, Ma'alina Sarishain, Al Manasa Shechta, Vein Shechta. What do? Bring up the first one, say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and check this one. And then when you bring it up, you say, you know what? Maybe I don't want this one, right? I want the second one. And then you bring up the second one. Then you go ahead and bring up the second one. Now you can go ahead. They both are in front of you. You can check whichever one you want. In other words, so you brought each one beheter, right, using your trickery, right? The first one says, oh, I want the first one. Then you bring it up and says, nah, maybe I want the other one. So now the other one's not muksa because I never checked with the first one. So you're allowed to score, according to Rabbi Shua, you're allowed to do haram. So maybe that's the same, just like over there, you're allowed to do trickery according to Rabbi Yeshua. So in our case, you do the trickery and say, oh, I'm going to call you my guest so I can go ahead and save all the wine from the barrel. So Gemara says, no. Dilma, maybe it's different. Mimai, who says it's the same machlekes by the haram in both cases? Dilma ad kan like Rabbi Eliezer hasam de over here, maybe in this case, Rabbi Eliezer said you're not allowed to do trickery because lamaisa, I can go ahead and save the animal. I just feed it while it's in the pit, and after Yantif, I'll go ahead and take it out. But over here, right, if I don't do some sort of harama, right, the rest of the wine in the barrels, then you go to waste. Maybe over there only Rabbi Yeshua said you can do harama. Why? Over there you have the animal in the pit that's suffering in the pit, so therefore you're allowed to do trickery in order to be able basically to alleviate the pain of the animal. But over here, in the case of the barrel, right, there is no issue of tzar balechayim. Therefore, there was no permitted amount of harama to be done. So Tanur Rabban, hitzil pas nakiya, ein matzil pas hadra. Let's say a person first, he saves money. Not money, sorry. He saves food. There's a fire. He saves food. Now he takes out really good bread. All right. Now there's more bread in there. So you can't say, oh, I want the other bread. I'm not going to eat this bread. I want that bread. And I'm going to now go ahead and save that bread. You can't do that, right? Because you already saved fine bread. However, matzil pas hadra. But let's say he first also the fire broke out, he brought out bad bread, coarse bread, not from fine flour. And then he's allowed to go ahead and matzah pas nakiya. He's allowed to go ahead and bring out better bread. So even though despite the fact that he took out mazon for 3 sudas already, if there is better food for 3 meals, right, then he can go ahead and bring out the food for the other one. And if the fire broke out on Yom Kippur, he's allowed to go ahead and take out food that's going to be eaten for Shabbos, for the meals for Shabbos. But you can't bring out food for if it was Shabbos and Yom Kippur was back to back. You would not if the fire broke out on Shabbos. You can go ahead and you can save food for Shabbos, but you can't go ahead and save food for Motzi Yom Kippur because Yom Kippur is less than Shabbos. I don't need to tell you, even from Shabbos Yantiv, you can't go ahead and say food. And you also can't do it from this Shabbos for the next Shabbos after that, which would be 7 days later. You can't do that. Fine. Person is baking bread. They used to go ahead and take the doughs basically and stick it to the side inside the oven. and all of a sudden he forgot to take it out. He put it in there and he forgot to take it out, and now he has a bunch of pitos or whatever, the loaves are on the side of the oven, baking, and Shabbos started. So matzil mazon shalashudas, you're only allowed to go ahead and take out, right, to remove it. Might be as a shaila of taking out on Shabbos. We'll soon see whether it's a malacha, right, or if it's a shuas. So you can go ahead and only take out 3 for 3 meals. So matzil mazon shalashudas. You can tell others, hey, you guys want bread? Go ahead and take 3 meals for yourself. And when he goes ahead and takes it out, he shouldn't do the marda, which is the normal kli that's used for it. Rather, use a knife. Use a knife to go ahead and basically unstick it off the wall, and therefore you're doing it with a shinoi. So Gemara says, "Ein is tshuva tan debei Yishmael." It says, "Lo tasa kol melacha." Yatzki hashever b'dias hapas shehi b'chacham melacha. So it says you can't do melacha on Shabbos, but melacha only means malacha to do actual work, but not something which is a chachma. Something which is a chachma, such as blowing the shofar, or removing the pas, removing the bread from the side of the walls. So you move from the side of the walls, that is not considered to be malacha, right? That is a chachma. That's like, right? It's not actual work. It's more like a wisdom, right? Right? It's a way of doing it. So Gemara says, well, even though you're right, really, lemais, it's not a malacha. And therefore, you only take off 3 and use a knife. Whereas, so that which you can go ahead and change from the usual, we can go ahead and change the usual. Therefore, since we're allowing you to do it on Shabbos, at least trying, and you're only doing 3, but use a knife and not the regular, spatula or whatever is used to remove the bread off the sides. And Shabbos, a person should also always get up early on Shabbos in order to prepare for on Friday to prepare. Right? So it says over there, right? And it was on the 6th day, they prepared for everything which is brought. In other words, it means lialter immediately. So wake up early Friday morning to get, to be early, to be the, first one in line at Jewel for Shabbos. And Amar Rabbi Abba, b'Shabbos chayiv adam liptua ba'al shtei kikaros. Right? Person on Shabbos should go ahead and be baitzea, right? And go ahead and basically make hamotzi, right, on 2 loaves. The pasuk says lechem mishnah, right? A double portion. So you have 2 loaves, lechem mishnah on Shabbos, 2 loaves on Shabbos, and Omar Rav Ashi, chazinale the Rav Kana. He saw Rav Kana the naki tarti ubatzachad. He saw he held up 2, but he only broke bread on 1. So he held up 2 and broke bread on 1. Why did he do that? Right? So Omar lok to ksiv. It says over there to gather. No, it always says together. It doesn't say you should eat 2. It just says you should have 2, but you don't necessarily have to go ahead and break the bread over 2. And Abzei Rahavi Batza Akuli Shirusa, he used to go ahead and basically break, right? He would basically break off the entire amount for a big piece for the entire meal. And Amalei Ravina Ravashi, you look like somebody who's you take a huge piece. It looks like you're you're starving, right? And you're just like you're a glutton. Since every day or other 6 days of the week I don't eat like this, but on Shabbos, right, I break off a very large piece for the entire meal. So therefore, it's apparent I'm doing it for the cover of Shabbos, not doing it because I'm a ravenous individual. And Ramami Ravasi ki ikla rifta deruva. Now, when they used to have the Erev Chatzeros to connect their yards with other yards, and they would take turns, I guess, as to where the Erev, the bread that they would make the Erev, whose house it would be. And then when the Erev was in their house, they used to go ahead and basically use it for their Suda, right? Why is that? Since, right, there was one mitzvah that was done, right, there's already a mitzvah that was done with it, therefore, I will go ahead and use it for another mitzvah. And just a couple more lines. So we say, Keita nafla delega b'chule. So how so? If the meal falls Friday night, then you didn't eat yet. So for 3 meals, if it fell Shabbos morning, but he didn't eat yet, you only have 2 because you don't eat it for the Friday night meals. How many meals should a person eat on Shabbos? Shalosh. 3 meals. And Rabbi Chidcha Arba, he says 4 meals. And both of them darshan from the same sukkim. The pasuk says, "Vayomer Moshe Akulu Hayom Ki Shabbos Hayom Hashem Hayom." So he says over there, the pasuk, where's his pasuk and Shmos, right? He said, "Eat today," because right today's Shabbos, right? You're not going to find in the field, right? Today, so he says the word Hayom 3 times. So Savahani Talasa Hayom Labar Mior. In other words, that according to this opinion, holds on 3, and it says Hayom, it's excluding last night. So now there's 3 day meals, including in addition to the meal from Friday night. So it says today, Saturday morning, our 3 meals. It says Hayom, each one eat now. Hayom, 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 3 times. So 3 during the day, 1 plus 1 evening is 4. But Rabban and Sari, they says no. That which was which says Hayom 3 times is including the Friday night. So therefore, there is a total of 3 meals, not just 3 plus Friday night, but rather Friday night is 1 of the 3 meals, and then 2 the next day. This is machlokes whether there's 3 meals or 4 meals. We'll stop here at the bottom line. Everyone should have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.